Hello, it's David here again in Brixton on Electric Avenue on a very hot and sunny August afternoon. And it's week 4 of our 4-week intensive. And Claire and I have been thinking about your feedback, considering your feedback and thinking about what might be useful for you over the next few weeks and months. And I guess if our week 1 videos were all about asking great questions, then this video is going to be about getting some great answers to those great questions. Some of you probably will have heard me say before that I'm a great believer in the fact that I think that great answers always come from great questions. And I also feel that the converse is true, that if you ask a question like, what should we name this polar exploration vessel, you'll get an answer like Boaty McBoatface. Or if you ask whether we should leave or remain in the European Union, you get an answer that many people think is wrong. And if you ask a question like, what shows should we put on in our theatre after COVID, you might not get the answer that you want to hear. But I can guarantee that if you ask better questions, you get better answers. And that's what artists and creative people are fantastic at, is asking really brilliant questions again and again, iteratively over time, in order to elicit some really brilliant and often unexpected answers. So that's what we're going to do today, is spend a bit of time using a very simple technology to begin to get some better answers. So I want to introduce you to something called Street Wisdom. Street Wisdom is, at its simplest, a way of using the urban environment as a stimulus for unlocking some new thinking, for getting some fresh ideas. It's the invention of a guy called David Pearl. It's been around for about 8 years, and it's now used in about 60 countries around the world by thousands of people. So Street Wisdom, at its simplest, is a 3-part technology, 3-part process for getting some new intelligence, some new answers to some questions that you might have. And at its most basic, the first part is a tune-up. And in the tune-up, we spend a bit of time literally tuning ourselves up to our environment, and that might mean slowing down a bit, noticing what we're attracted to, perhaps noticing what we haven't noticed before. So at the beginning of a Street Wisdom process, part 1, we spend some time tuning ourselves up to our urban environment. Part 2 is then the quest. That's the kind of heart, the beating heart of a Street Wisdom. And that's where we take our question, the question that we've been mulling over for some time, and have it in the forefront of our minds as we, in our tuned up states, walk around, travel around an urban environment, really open to, all of our senses, open to the stimulus that we might have all around us, the sights, the sounds, the smells, the overheard conversations, and just really be open to opportunities and to new thinking. And then the third part of a Street Wisdom is where we share. We tell some stories about what we've experienced, and we reflect back on that and wonder if perhaps in those stories there is some new and fresh discovery, some new learning for us to be had. At this point, I should probably say that my nervousness about talking about Street Wisdom is born of the fact that it can sound a bit hippie. It can sound a bit like a sort of, the universe has got all the answers, so come and find them. Well, I just want to allay those fears and say that this is a technology which has been used by Samsung, by Sony, by Google, by Cancer Research UK. So it's a widely used technology which many people have found very useful in terms of ideas generation and problem solving. So to give a practical example, I might have a question which is, how do I acknowledge and give up the power that I have in the arts and cultural sector to people that don't have the same privileges that I've had? That might be my question. So I've tuned up, I've opened up my senses to the environment, the urban environment. I'm feeling like I'm listening and looking and smelling differently. Not me smelling, I'm smelling the world differently. And I've got that question at the very heart of my thoughts. So how do I acknowledge and pass on the power that I've got to those that haven't enjoyed the privileges that I have? And as I walk around, I just start to notice things. I'm not particularly looking for learning, I'm just noticing things that perhaps I haven't noticed before. Here I'm noticing that there are lots of young people around, some of whom are doing what I'm doing, making videos, making content. I noticed earlier there's people playing some music down by the Brixton tube station, a guy playing the steel drum. I might have overheard a conversation. I overheard a conversation just now when we was talking about that Michaela Cole show on the TV, and I overheard somebody else talking about a book they just read. I'm noticing things up here. There's a sculpture of some cherries and a couple of foxes that I've never seen before. And then further down the street here, there's a huge neon sign that says Electric Avenue in rainbow colours. And that's pretty amazing. So again, I'm not looking for any kind of particular wisdom at this moment. I'm just keeping that question in the forefront of my mind as I wander around Brixton and soak up the sights and smells and sounds. And it's as simple as that. It's no more complicated or complex than that. It's a walking meditation, if you like. It's a way of using the environment a bit more creatively to get some answers. So check it out. Street Wisdom, adopt it, adapt it, play with it, mess around with it, and see what it does for you. I hope it brings you some real clarity, and in doing so, I hope you might find some of the answers that you're looking for. Thanks for listening, good luck, and see you soon.